Welcome to the Seventh Sense podcast. This is a space to explore, reflect, and share.
Open conversations for the heart, mind, and soul.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 5 of the Seventh Sense podcast, season 2. My name is Edna Njeri.
My name is Njeri.
How's your week been?
First of all, we'll start with you. I think you've had a pretty interesting, week.
How's your week been?
My week has been, so far so good. I got time from work just to breathe, and I felt like it was important for me to have that this week. Honestly, it's been a good week. It's been okay. Yeah.
My week also hasn't been that busy in terms of work or content. Made some tough decisions this week, but I saw it coming, so it's I had the buffer of it's a tough decision, but I saw it coming, so it's all good. I'm just happy it's the weekend, honestly. I feel so tired. I don't know why, but I'm glad it's the weekend for sure. It was an okay week. Out of 10, I'd say it was a 5. It was okay.
Same, I'd give it,
Yeah.
5, 6.
Last week we were at 7, this week we're at 5. Yeah, so questions for this week. The first one is, what's the single most liberating thought you've ever had? I can go first because I have an idea.
Yeah.
It's that I'm only the main character in my life. Because sometimes you tend to think that people are so hyper-focused on what you're doing, or you think people really notice things that are happening, especially when you mess up.
Yeah.
But everyone's thinking the same thing, so everyone's caught up in their own
universe.
So just it makes you feel a bit free because it's you can just you have the space. No one's really that focused on you.
That's crazy because mine was I'm the author of my own destiny, and I'm at the center of my universe. I think it just taught me a lot of responsibility, accountability, and also respect, like you're saying. Just everybody's going through their own things, so let's not get caught up in.
Okay, second question. What could you talk about for hours? I think we should answer for each other.
Yeah.
I think you could talk about music for hours. So from music production to just artists you enjoy, especially hip hop. I think you could definitely go on and on about that.
I think yours would be a blend of beauty and self-care and productivity. I feel those 3 things, if you were given you would go off, and I think it's because you're passionate about those things. So
yeah,
I think those 3, you'd find out you're just making them into one thing that you can actually talk about. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So for episode 5, we're going to talk about relationship with partners. So the romantic kind of relationships.
And I think do we have to stipulate that it's heterogeneous,
No. Based on our experiences.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
It's going to be based off our own experiences there. So for
heterogeneous.
Is it?
Heterosexual. Heterogeneous is when you're mixing liquids and
you're lying.
They form separate layers or something. Because homogeneous, heterogeneous. I think so. I think that's what it is.
Hey.
So yeah, we're not talking about heterogeneous relationships.
Get out of here. But you know what I mean? It's just going to be our own experiences.
Based on our experiences.
Yeah.
So we have to start from the beginning with the first time you thought this is a relationship. I'm in a relationship. Do you remember what that was? When that was? Who that was?
So doing the notes. Yeah, I was just cool. I kind of can trace back. I think it's primary school when the lines are so blurred in terms of who a boyfriend is, who a girlfriend is, what a relationship is. But I think it's when you start first liking someone and then they tell you they like you back, you already know it's answered, then cool, in a relationship already, so you don't even have to ask somebody out. So I want to say maybe class 4 is when,
I mean, I started early.
Walai, uko my kindergarten.
Class 2. To South.
Yeah.
I can remember. To South, and that was 2003.
Mad.
Right? Yeah.
Must be it. That's crazy. But what do you think it was? Like, is it...
I don't even know what we were doing or what.
Yeah.
I just know I was 8.
Yeah.
I remember his names. I remember him because we even ended up going to the same uni, which I was like, that's so weird.
Mad.
But he's changed so... Anyway. I don't even know why it even ended. Like, it's just all a blur.
Yeah,
but I remember having that, like, claim of, this is my boyfriend.
Yeah, facts.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, what was your first real relationship? Or what was that one like for you in primary? Do you remember, like, what do you remember about it?
I think it was more of like the... And you're borrowing a lot from what you're seeing, like from your parents, from what you're watching on TV, just what you're seeing around you. Kind of like you're trying to like mix and match all these things to be like, oh, okay, fine. So this is what a relationship can be, or should be, or is. I just remember like you'd also feel shy about saying, okay, this is my girlfriend or boyfriend, because it's just not the norm that time. It's a bit. So you have to be a bit secretive about it. I remember I'd call her house and then I'd have to pretend I'm like a shorty. So I'd be like, hi, my name is Eunice. I'm calling for Mary. Or whoever.
Yeah.
So because I'm like, it just has to be so secretive.
Yeah.
It can't be. So I remember, yeah, so.
Do you remember where it ended?
Why? And this was like the most heartbreaking part was, I think, she just came and told me one day she liked someone else.
Oh no.
And then even for me at the same time, I was just like, oh, cool. I also used to like your friend. And then her best friend just became now another thing now with her best friend. And then they got another over that type of shit. So I remember it was just that, like, you just pick and move.
Yeah.
It was like, you know,
you didn't really have an understanding of it.
No.
It's just like, whatever. Yeah.
Yours, how did it end?
I have no memory.
Yeah.
I just remember it being a thing, and then it wasn't a thing. And I was fine with that. I probably also just moved on like that.
Yeah, you just roll.
And then your first now, like, real relationship, what was that like? How old were you?
So first real one, I think I was 14, 15. So high school, Form 1, Form 2. And I think I knew it was real because, okay, from my own understanding then at my own age at 15, but
yeah,
I think
like,
that for me was the first, I want to say real, because it's the conversations you'd have that have like a bit of depth, and it's like two different worlds coming together, and you're able like to still coexist and still talk about different things, still be there for each other. We like duck class together because like a mixed school. So we duck classes together, we'd go sit in the library and just like read, we'd study together at night. So it was like, that's when I started to think, it's actually like something.
Yeah. How long was that for?
I think a year and a half. And then I ended up switching schools. She ended up finishing high school before I did, so it just...
What do you mean she ended up finishing high school?
She was doing IGCSE.
Oh.
So of course she'd finish ahead of me.
Yeah.
And of course now that just changes everything. Her being in a whole... So yeah, I think for me that was my first, like... Also, it's maybe that's when I lost my virginity, so maybe that's why I'm attaching so much to it. But I'm not going to fault it and say it wasn't a real one.
Yeah.
But the realness has always, like, the older I've gotten, the realness of a relationship has changed as I grow older. So what I considered real then doesn't like carry any much weight now. So what I consider real now, I think will always morph.
As you understand
yourself even better, I feel like you start to consider what real is. For you?
I was 18. It lasted for like a bit over a year, like a year and some change. I think, do you remember why you got into that relationship with this person? Because for me, it's like, I think I got into that relationship now looking back just because of the persistence of the person. And then because we were good friends, so I'm like, okay, now I'm like, why are we though? But then I was like, we're good friends, why not? Like, it's a convenient, like this could work. I can see how this can work. So I definitely got into it for not the best reasons.
Yeah.
So for you, was it like why was that?
So it was, I'm just going to say it how it was. So we used to, she used to date my best friend.
You have a thing for people's best friends.
Just chill. So she used to date my best friend, and he never used to give her like the time of day. And I think after we were introduced, like she used to be cool with my desk mate. So I think just her coming to our class, just chilling, we just got to know each other, and we just used to hang out. So I remember every Saturday for entertainment, the guy would be playing pool and just not talk to her the whole night. And so see me, I'm just there, I'm chilling, watching movies. She'd come, we sit, we talk. So over time, I mean, we're just spending time. And then just one time, I'm just like, I actually kind of like you. But we never talked about it. Like, I think we just knew that boundary between, if we actually have this conversation, it changes everything. So we just kept quiet. So I think one time, I think they broke up or something. Or they went into an argument. But how I knew I had feelings for her is when she told me they've like had an argument and they've broken up. I was happy about it. And I didn't care about my best friend. I cared more about how she felt and how she was doing. And that's when I started to realize, okay, fine, maybe I actually really care about you. But anyways, he was a douche. I mean, if he was being a douche, he was being a douche. There's nothing at Tiapo. I think sometimes even as a guy, you have to be able to call out your homies and be like, if you're not really treating your woman right, then it's just not right. There's no blind loyalty.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, if it's douchebag, it's douchebag. So yeah.
Anyway, I definitely think I got into it for like the wrong reasons. I think I stayed for the wrong reasons. I just think, but in the moment, obviously, I didn't think that. Like, this is looking back where I'm like,
maybe not.
Maybe not. Okay,
but
so then.
Sorry. But what makes you say it was real? Is it like the feelings you had? Is it the experiences that you shared?
It's a bit of both, yeah. The feelings we had, the experiences we shared, the levels of like intimacy we had in terms of conversation, things we could talk about, things we went through together. Like that was like, I was like, yeah, this is definitely a real relationship. Okay, so first heartbreak. Mine was from that relationship.
Mad.
I think yours was from when you were younger.
No, it was primary school, yeah.
Heartbreak.
And let me tell you why. Because this one I remember, I felt...
You felt it physically.
I felt it like in my heart, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it was not out of me. That's like my first understanding of like... Okay, let me say that's my first breakup. First breakup was in primary school. But first heartbreak,
yeah. Heartbreak is like you feel unwell, like you don't want to eat.
So it was this one, the one from high school. And was because she was there for me at a time where I had a couple of things that happened like in my life. And so me having to be moved schools, and then we end up like breaking up because now we're so separate. We have like, that for me was painful because I'm just like, all these things happened and I didn't have any control over anything. I remember even like in school, I'd like write like letters in my notebook. Like I'd be like, oh shit, I'm gonna send them like when I get out of school, So I think it was that for me. So first heartbreak was from 3? Yeah, from 3.
Yeah, mine was definitely from my first adult relationship. I just felt like he abandoned me, and also because I experienced a lot of trauma during the period of that relationship, like trauma in my life generally, but also trauma tied to the relationship. So like I tied a lot of my emotional validation to him. So when we broke up, I was like, I just felt so abandoned, and that was definitely heartbreak for me.
Okay. I think I want to look at going even maybe into uni now, because I think like when I was 18, that relationship was pretty serious. I mean, we were together for 2-3 years.
Only?
Yeah. And for me, I'm trying to think for uni, you know, like this is someone you've post high school, you've been together.
No, it felt like longer.
I think maybe it was longer. Yeah. It's and like you're saying, it's the emotional attachment you have with this person, and it's the things you've shared, the dreams you've built of the future together. So to let go of all that, you know, and then just to be, especially if it's the person calling it off.
It's like, how dare you?
You know, you're stuck like with this dream, you're working so hard to make all these things work. And I guess for me, that was my first experience with like being cheated on. And so that now opened up to me to this world of welcome to the real world, Shaga. This is how these things actually go. And so I remember I had to like work through a lot of that, like just self-esteem issues, because you end up blaming yourself. You're like, wasn't I? And then what did I? But you forget there's also a whole other human being who can make choices for themselves.
And
It has
be accountable
nothing-
for them.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with you as a person. So yeah, I think in terms of like the pain value, I'd kind of like match them, because both of them were happening. I didn't have control over any
Yeah.
of these things. It wasn't like me saying I want it to end.
It
Yeah.
just happened.
Yeah.
And in the times when you did have control, like how are you able to tell when you're over a relationship, like when you're done?
So this has come with, I think one is when there's like conflict, like just constant conflict. It can be an argument, it can be disagreements, however you want to call it, but just you guys are always at each other's necks. That for me was just, I'm like, that's number one.
I know it.
Yeah, I'm like, nah, if this is how we're moving, then one of us is over this thing. Just none of us has the guts to actually say this thing is actually done. I'd say, well, I think we can go like back and forth between the ones that you think. So I'd say conflict.
I think you just know. I don't even know how to say it, but you just know. But it gets to a point where you're looking at the things. You start even thinking, is this really something I want to negotiate? Like, is this negotiable for me?
Yeah.
Is this something we can fix? Do I even want to fix this?
Yeah.
It's just like a feeling.
Like a feeling, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess also it's when the little things start to irritate you.
Yeah.
Now, and it gets to a point where everything they're doing is irritating you. I feel like, yeah, that's also another part for you to be like,
Maybe.
maybe.
But
I
also
think.
it depends on how, like, because sometimes you want to work through things, but then you know how your partner takes communication or how your
Yeah.
partner deals with things. So
I think also it gets to a point where both of you start, which is not a bad thing, but when both of you start to want different things. And I allow, or now, I feel like I'm wiser now. It's the allowing someone to be fluid and to adjust and to grow and to change. But the moment you want to keep someone in the pocket where you've met them, then you'll always end up wanting different things if you don't allow them to be who they're becoming.
yeah.
I think that's important. Yeah. Also, it's just like the lack of intimacy. When that stops being a thing, so however intimacy works for you in your relationship, but just the moment you stop being intimate with your partner, it can be through conversations, it can be physical. But the moment you stop being intimate, I think that's when you start to realize I'm kind of over this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think.
But I think you can almost see it coming. Like you see it coming slowly. It's like there's signs on the way.
Yeah. So even for this one, I'm like tracing back to my uni relationship, and it was that like she'd throw in things like, I want to be celibate, and I'm just like, it's not making sense, but cool, that's what you want to do. But now looking back, I'm just like, Shaga now would be able to make that, would know what she's trying to say at that point in time. The distance, they're not talking as much as you used to talk. You feel like you're putting in a lot of effort into keeping the conversation going to the point where you just don't feel like putting any effort into this whole thing.
Yeah.
I think you start to realize like you're over this thing. Yeah.
What are some like red flags that you've seen or that you now look out for, having been in multiple relationships? One for me, how someone speaks to you during a disagreement. I feel like that tells you a lot about the person.
True.
Even though emotions are running high and it's like we're not ourselves, but there's some things people say in during disagreements or arguments where it's like
I think it's I agree with that one for sure.
You agree?
Sorry, I agree. I'm with you on that one. When they start to push your boundaries like slowly or like in innocent ways, like it can be a joke about something, it's just there's a way they push the boundaries, and I'm just like, nah, you already know this is not how I like. I'm gonna have to use an example so that I'm not so cryptic. Maybe you're not like a religious person, but they keep on pushing you to like go to church because it's the type of man I want and this is the type of person I want to be in a relationship with. the
But
boundary
they
of
found you like that.
yeah, you know I'm not like this, but you keep pushing
Yeah.
me, saying this is the type of man I want. This is the da da da. The two hints. I feel like it's pushing a boundary that they already know exists. So that I look out for when someone is pushing a boundary.
Yeah. I think tied to that is when people justify behavior that like hurt you or made you feel uncomfortable. Like you express to someone that this has hurt you or made you feel uncomfortable,
Yeah.
but then they're defensive about why they did it, or they make you feel like, no, that's not like a thing. Like you shouldn't be feeling like
Yeah,
that.
why are you
Like this is
tripping?
why are you tripping?
In the same line, then there's the guilt tripping you now. So we're not perfect. So you might fuck up here and there, but the fact that they keep like
Bringing the
rewinding
same
that,
thing.
I'm always just
It's like hanging it over your head.
I'm like, fine. So we talked about it. We agreed. We apologized. Everybody's good. Just the fact that you keep bringing that shit over and over, I'm like, nah, that's another one.
Yeah. If someone also can never like ever apologize, or if you in their eyes you can never do anything right
That one is a
on
red
both
flag.
sides.
Yeah, that's a red for
Yeah.
sure. I think even not wanting to make the relationship public. For me, I feel like
That's funny.
that's a bit like,
Like what
and
are
now I'm
you
taking
hiding?
it from when I'd be told, oh, you're not posting me on Instagram, da da. I get for her that was a
Okay,
red
wait. I don't think keeping it private. I think those are two
on
different
social
things.
media.
Yeah.
But you see, for her, that's what it meant, was if I'm not posted her on social media, I'm trying to keep this relationship private.
Okay.
I am not saying that's how everybody thinks,
But
but
that
I
was
want
your
to say
experience, yeah.
there's a pocket of people who might look at it that way. If we're not seen together on social media, you're keeping this thing private. Because being seen outside, that's calm, but it's the world we live in now where social media plays a big part in people's relationships.
I mean, I'm not
Not
posting
okay,
no
not all
one.
of exactly. So me, I'm always just like
If you know,
public
you
in
know.
the sense, exact. Just if you know, you know. If someone asks you, "Oh, are you guys together?" and
Are
then
you
you're
single?
not being
Yeah.
like kiki about it, you know, it's just
Because that's also another weird one. When people like, you don't want to define the thing, you kind of just want to leave the thing in limbo. You're not in a relationship. You're single. Just know
yeah.
you're
It's
single.
just, so that one is a red
They're
flag.
just wasting your time.
So
They
yeah.
don't want to. If it'll change, if you say that you're in a relationship, it'll change things. You're in a good space. It's cap.
Yeah, I feel like that one, just even that thing for they can try and drive like a wedge between your friends and your family, like them requiring you to spend more time with them.
Yeah.
I think that's a red flag. Like, just you found me moving there I used to move.
Yeah,
so
and then you're
just,
trying to like control. Yeah,
Yeah.
controlling behaviors also.
that's a
Like
big
that
ass.
thing where they try to reward you or like punish you in order to have control over you. I've experienced that, and when you're in it, you don't see it, but it feels weird, and that weird feeling, it's like your
Yeah.
gut telling you something.
It's like a red flag inside.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
But
we
do you
have-
think? Sorry. But do you think these red flags are? You know, like how you said now. It's when you're in it, you're not really able to see it as it is.
But you can usually feel it.
That this, yeah.
Or it just usually doesn't sit right with you when certain things are
Well, love is
happening.
blinding, though. You know, it's just like you'll really overlook all these red flags. You'll see them, but you'll just be like, but we're in love.
And your red flags are used as a warning for danger, so just try not to ignore them. Save yourself some time. Okay, cool. So we have to talk about the ick.
That's all you, because I was just trying to think about it. I'm like, what ick do I even have?
Okay, so the ick is a sudden cringe feeling you have when you have romantic. The ick is a sudden cringe feeling when you have romantic contact with someone and become immediately put off by them. Like it's one thing like your partner does and you just feel like like it makes you feel like your screen is crawling, like you just don't want to be,
Okay.
you know.
Yeah.
I think once you get the ick, it's over. It's
Mad.
low-key over. Because it's hard to get back to that.
So
For
the
me, I
question
think-
is, does this ick exist in you? Like you're already set up with it. Like it just takes you seeing it to be like, oh, damn.
Like you never saw it before,
Yeah,
and then it's
exactly. And then
Yeah.
because you're saying there's no coming back from it.
like, is
But
that
you
How I
see-
Met Your Mother episode where
Uh-huh.
the glass breaks, where they were like clearly chews really loudly.
Oh,
Marshall had never seen that, but once you
yeah.
see it, you
You
can't
can't
unsee
unsee
it. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
For me, a big ick. Oh my god, guys who really struggle to impress their friends, like their male friends.
I've seen a video like that.
Like
That
it's
one,
just
yeah.
so embarrassing.
I mean, cool. Cool.
I'm just like, why?
I think for me it's shorties who try and talk like the boys.
What do you mean?
Like whatever words we use, whatever phrases we use, whatever lingo we use to communicate amongst, like, as I said, guys. Shorties who try hard to try and like just talk like that to fit in. That I'm only just like.
Or guys or girls who become suddenly so funny when the opposite sex is around. Like you never act like this, but your behavior has completely changed.
Yeah,
like you're doing the most.
I'm like, nah.
It's so weird.
I can't.
Also, another one is the guys who do those videos on TikTok at you biting your lips during dancing. I'm just like, imagine that's your boyfriend. Can't be me.
Mad.
No.
Oh jeez.
Also, bad hygiene gives me the ick. People who like have like you have like crust on your mouth, things like that. Like it's just like, don't touch me. Or like dirty long nails. Those things, just basic hygiene.
Things, yeah.
Anyway, I think the ick is, it's real.
I'm not removing them. Tony Angaliaje.
Do you have any other icks, or you're good on that?
I'm really trying to think, like,
there's no one thing that you see someone doing and you're just like, it puts you off.
I think it's like, when girls get drunk and they need to just like get frisky and touch, and they come close to the ear, trying to like whisper things in your ear. I'm always just like, just chill. Like, nah.
If you're sober or just generally?
Just generally, I'm always just like, that's personal space, Yani. Just.
Wait, like someone you're in a relationship with?
That's calm.
Oh, you're saying like generally?
Just generally. No, in a relationship, I mean, I was like,
calm.
Just generally, I know.
Who does that though?
No, you can start naming names here, but
no,
I'll point it out. Next time I see it somewhere, I'll just tell you.
Okay.
That's the one. Yeah.
Cool. So, have you ever had an experience where you felt like you outgrew your partner?
Yeah.
I think it happens a lot in your 20s.
It does. I think
like your first relationships, you really think this is it, but it's not.
I think from 18 going all the way to maybe when you're 25, you do a lot of like growth and a lot of like self-discovery.
Your brain is still even forming.
So uko katikati, you might think this is the shit, but then you just start to see, it's
like your priorities
deeper than
are
that.
So different.
Yeah.
You start prioritizing different things. You start like your values just don't match or aren't aligned as much.
And I guess also if you guys met doing similar things and then one of you stops doing, I'm not gonna put this, it's like so cryptic also. Like if you guys used to go to the club, that's where you guys met, and then one of you is a party life, or both of you are party life, and then one of you stops. One still maintains a party life, you kind of like you've moved away from that. It's gonna be hard to keep that relationship going. One is gonna compromise.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a lot of compromise from one of the other people. So I think when you met doing similar activities and then your interests like kind of change and deviate, it's gonna be really hard like just to keep it going.
For sure. In my experience, it's been when, like, for example, if I'm really working on myself and the other person is like, but this is just who I am.
Yeah.
Like, this is just how I am. Like, there's no desire to change or improve or anything. Then it's like, you can't keep trying to push someone or trying to change someone. It gets tiring.
Yeah. I think, and for the fact that you might be at different like stages of your lives, with like these different stages, it means you'll be having different conversations. And with this different conversation, all of you guys are going through different challenges. So I can't really give you advice on something I don't even have experience of, or I can't relate to what you're talking to me about. So I think just being at different places in your lives, maybe one is still in school, another person started working, it's gonna be pretty like hard to keep it going because it's different challenges now, it's different things we're experiencing. So I think just being at different stages in your lives. Not to say that you always have to be at the same, but as long as they're kind of like close.
The farther you get, it's trickier.
It's a bit harder to make it work.
But still, in everything, I think you should be able to like advise each other or like call each other out when something isn't going the way it should.
Yes. But also,
But it's not easy to
it's
like
not.
call out your partner.
It's
you
not,
know?
especially if, like you're saying, they're stuck in the, but this is who I am, you know. But you've known who you are, but you've put in the effort into trying to better yourself, just self-improvement and self-care. If one of you does that, prioritize that, it's going to be pretty hard. Because now you'll be able to notice more about them because you're being aware of more about yourself and the things you do and how it affects them. You'll be taking so much more time to be more gentle with them because you're being more gentle with yourself. And then you just be looking at them being like, they really are not doing anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, you'll be stuck and then you're not growing in the relationship. So that can be a bit constipating, even just emotionally, mentally, physically. You just feel kind of trapped.
But if you're being like corrected from your partner, I think by your partner, you should always see it as coming from a place of love. I don't think your partner should be correcting you. Your partner correcting you should be taken as anything other than them trying to better you. Except if, you know, the people are trying to correct you, but they're looking embarrassing you.
There's a tone.
Like correcting you in front of people, especially.
That one from
like,
me more is just like, nah.
That's different.
It's a tone. There's like a tone up for. And something
How
I'll
you
always tell
say
you.
it.
You might fuck up somewhere and I'll back you. But as soon as it's just like it's down to you and me talking, I'll be able to call you out because there's no need of that embarrassment or what do you have to prove.
That's a red flag also. If
So I've experienced that being embarrassed like in front of your homies, and I mean I'll tell you, but
okay.
so it was that. So it's the fact that you use that just to prove a point. I'm always just like that can't work. Like if it's you trying to prove something, I don't think that's you trying to like do something or call out anything. I think you're gonna call out someone. It's just you also have to understand the emotional like and mental state, like where they're at. That allows you to be able to know like to pick the time.
How to approach it. Yeah.
I mean, you want to, but I think there's space to actually accept what you're trying to tell them. And
it's like the balance between you're supporting them, but you're also keeping them in check. So it's not like they're going through the super hard time, and then that's the time when you want to tell them,
shit,
okay, so these are the things you need to work on. You know, that's not it.
I think your partner should be the person who you take criticism the best from, because you do understand they're not coming here to hurt you. If it's your friend, you can be skeptical. If it's your family, it's also a bit skeptical because you always feel like, so you guys, your partner, you literally trust them, like, you know, so you should be able to take it.
You should
be able to
them.
tell, okay, fine, let me not assume. You should trust them.
Yeah, if you feel like they usually just correct you in a shady way or always do it in a public way or anything like that,
that's not it.
Yeah. Cool. I think now you can take us through codependence.
So I think one thing, and it's why this part for me was like key, is because I've experienced it and I've been that in a relationship, just the codependence of relationships. And I think I just want to read the definition. Is a codependent relationship is a kind of dysfunctional relationship where one person is a caretaker and the other person takes advantage. They're extremely common among people with substance abuse issues. Typically, one partner will take care of the other to the extent of enabling that partner's addictive behavior. So when as to the part for substance use, we can remove that and just emotional imbalance and then mental like health challenges. One person ends up being the caretaker or the caregiver, and then just sits back and receives all of this.
Takes, yeah.
And they're not healthy because you don't really allow your partner to be themselves, to grow and like to be autonomous. So one of you just like clings on to this person. I don't know, from your experience, would you say from a track record of your relationships, can you say, okay, fine, this was a codependent one, this one actually was? And if so, when did you realize? Is it after you were out of it? Or even when you're in it, you're just like, damn, I'm codependent, but then, cool, let me stay here.
Until let me stay here. No one is ever like, let me
not
stay
like
here.
that, okay, sorry, not that let me stay here. It's just like, let me not think about that like right now. Yeah.
I definitely have been in a codependent relationship, but I think I was the enabler in the relationship. And I realized it while I was in the relationship, and that was a red flag for me. So that's a point at which I said, like, taking a step back and trying to be more independent in the relationship, taking more time for myself, things like that. So when I realized it, and it took me sharing. That's the thing. If you're not talking about your relationship with your friends, not all your friends that you sit and discuss, but people who are in the same spaces. You have friends who are in relationships and you guys talk about your relationships. You don't have to tell them everything, but you have that space to talk. You start to realize things that maybe if you hadn't spoken about them, you'd have normalized them in your head.
True.
So it took me speaking about experiences I was having in my relationship to realize that it was actually codependent and it wasn't healthy for either of us. So yeah, talk to your friends, guys.
I think also still like talk to your partner also. Like if you've had the thought, also I'm not saying everybody is the same, but I think maybe when it crosses your mind, you should be able to confront, maybe that's the wrong word, but approach your partner and just talk about it, be like, hey, I feel like we're codependent. What do you think? And I think
but what if you not even realize that?
For yourself?
Yeah.
And I think when you realize it now for yourself, that's so maybe you try and approach them and ask them, what do you feel about this relationship? Do you think it is or not? And I think there are a couple of things maybe you can ask yourself to actually know if this thing is actually codependent. So do you sense, like, does your sense of purpose involve making extreme sacrifices to satisfy your partner's needs? That's like number one. If you answer yes, then I think we move on. Is it difficult to say no when your partner makes demands on your time and energy?
Oh my God, this was me.
Yeah. Do you cover your partner's problems with drugs, alcohol, or the law? I think that one depends. I have been in a position where I was with someone who was struggling with, addiction, and we were codependent because we were both like using. No, it wasn't like it was heroin.
Yeah. Like, everyone's gonna be like, hey.
Like we're both like, let's just say there are common things that people use, but let's just say
still.
Okay, fine.
I'm trying to make it
a bit PG.
Yeah, not sound like you're like a.
Let's just say we're both struggling. That even sounds even still outside. Okay, fine. I've been in a situation where we were just enabling each other's bad behaviors. Yeah, and that for me was, I don't judge her. I don't make her feel bad about it. I always feel like I can help her, get over it, or maybe just feel better about herself. And then on this side, I'm numbing myself from this whole experience because will I be able to actually help her, or am I even making it worse? You know what I'm saying? So some thoughts actually go through your head, but we're just still coexisting, and we're so codependent on each other because we're not judging each other. We're not talking about these things.
Yeah, it's like you don't say it, it's not real.
No, and we're good.
Yeah.
And then, do you constantly worry about other people's opinion of you? I'm not saying you answer, but you're thinking I'm seeing.
Yeah.
And then, do you feel trapped in your relationship? And then, do you keep quiet to avoid arguments?
Oh my God, yes.
You get, so.
Another thing I have to say is people who struggle with mental health.
Yeah.
Using that as like a bait or like a thing to be like, but if you leave me, then what will happen? If you can't leave me, I'm not in a good space, like that whole thing.
I saw like this emotional thing. Was it on Vice? And it's a guy who's like really working using kinks to deal with like trauma. And he was talking about how his girlfriend would always like call and like threaten to be like, yo, I'm gonna commit suicide, like if you leave me, I'm gonna kill myself, I can't do it without you, da 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 da. So the last time she said it, she like slit her like throat on the phone.
What?
Yeah. And yeah, so he could just hear like, the gargling of like in the background. And he says ever since that day, like it was so traumatic, and he felt like it was so selfish of her, because how could you do that? And how am I going to deal with this whole thing? But you're so codependent on the fact that you'll ruin me even when you're still not here. So yeah, so those are the things I look at. You can't use your own mental health as something to keep someone around or to put up with your own struggles. I feel like you should be able to walk. You should be able to carry your own shit, for lack of a better word. Just don't use it, especially if you're using it. That people actually maybe they don't know.
Yeah, but if you're using it, like you're weaponizing it.
And you're conscious about it, that's like mad. So what I think like are signs that you saw and you were just like, maybe this is actually a codependent relationship, or this is a codependence that's going on over here.
There's the point you said about you keep quiet to avoid arguments, and there's another one you said that I related to. I think the second one.
Yeah, difficult to say no.
Yeah, difficulty to say no, and those are the two
that you saw.
That I was like, You feel like if you don't show up in this time when they need you immediately, and even the way they react to you, maybe like your boundaries are just not respected.
So I was gonna say that it's a lack of boundaries.
It's a lack of boundaries.
So one person is
I
manipulative.
can't say no. Yeah, because if you say no, like it's being taken as you're just so So yeah.
I think another thing is, if you are, as an individual, if you have like poor self-esteem, because you are looking for like validation, and so whatever this person is putting you through, you'll put up with it because they're feeding this self-esteem. Like, I feel good about myself now. There's like the manipulation is also a sign. Like if you feel like they get their way every time just by using things, the guilt tripping you, the rewarding you, like certain like, things they do. That's the controlling behaviors. Another thing is like there are no personal interests or goals outside the relationship.
Yeah.
If there's nothing beyond you guys, then it's just, I feel like for me that's a sign just to know this thing is like a bit codependent. And I think from there is you want to be able to move from like a codependent relationship to something I know it didn't make sense when I said it, but it kind of works. So being like independent codependence. And then as I read through more, it's actually a term for it now. So it's interdependence. You want to like kind of guess what it is, but it's actually really the opposite of codependence though.
It's just like maintaining that like autonomy and like independence in a relationship or something.
Yeah. So I like how it was put. Partners recognize and value the importance of the emotional bond they share while maintaining a solid sense of self within the relationship dynamic. And I feel like that's so important. It's I'm
still a whole person.
Exactly.
You're still a whole person. It's not like we're half and half and then we make a whole together.
I'm looking for better half, my other half. No. And I think this type of relationships come with age. I think the older you get, the more secure you are about who you are as a person. You're able to be more confident and be like, you know what, cool, this is who I am. I respect who they are. And then we can be able to have an emotional bond that still allow them the space to also keep on expanding and grow and be who like they actually are.
Yeah.
You also recognize the value of like vulnerability. So being able to turn to your partner in meaningful ways to create emotional intimacy. I think it's the manipulation is not really being used to create like a positive like intimate like relationship or communication. So an independent person, they value the sense of self that allows them and their partner to be themselves without any need to compromise who they are or their value systems. I think that's so important. I feel like in a lot of relationships, from my experience, are really compromised on things I believed in, values I have.
Things you want to do even.
You get.
Things you have interests in.
Yeah, you just feel like, okay, fine, cool. Since they're not like into that thing, cool, maybe I shouldn't.
We'll just do this other thing that they want. Yeah.
You know? Yeah, I mean, I thought you had something to say.
I think a big part that can help with this that I've realized now is dating. Like just dating before you get into a relationship. Just dating to see what like exists.
Yeah.
And not visualizing trying to visualize a future with every single person you're dating. Just dating to just be like, yes, no. Like just to really feel it out and see what things you're okay with, what things you're not okay with before you're committing to someone.
Yeah. That's true.
Dating is like underrated.
That's true.
Yeah.
And I always believe in the fact that as long as your values stay like to the core and stay true, I think that's the person that gets drawn towards you. Because at the same time, you might find I don't know. Like I agree with what you're saying. Like what you're saying is true. Like just being able to see what's out there, so that you're like not really actually settling for just what's
The
there.
first, yeah.
Yeah, I think the ability for you to also recognize. I think even the dating allows you to really hone your sense of self. Because you're able now to be like, yeah, I really don't fuck with that type of shit. And then I've seen it like in 3 other people, so okay, maybe this is how people are, so
Yeah.
let me move. I think just for things like to check out for, to ensure that you actually have a healthy interdependent relationship, it's healthy boundaries.
Yeah, for sure.
I think if you're able to establish that early, I think even the dating allows you to reinforce. Every time someone tries to push a boundary, you're able to step up and just stand for it. It kind of like trains you to be more and more firm and assertive with your boundaries. You being more aware and conscious of your own boundaries allows you to move into a space where someone else is able to bring in their own boundaries, and both are able to respect them and keep them healthy. There's also like time for personal interests. So aside from the relationship, you guys are actually able to do other things that you all are interested in, and it's not, oh, you're neglecting me or you're not giving me attention. It's just
and you're allowing the person to have that space without making them feel bad about it, or making them feel like they're taking away from the relationship by doing this one thing for themselves.
Yes, I think there's the clear communication, being able to say how you feel when you feel it, as opposed to you keeping quiet because you're scared if I say it's going to be a fight or it's going to be an argument. I think just being able to clearly communicate how you feel, where you're at, kind of builds on that like bond that you can actually have. And then being open and approachable with each other. I think the more open you are, the more it allows you create a space where I feel like I can come and tell you, this is what it is I feel like, this is how I didn't like this, or this made me feel a certain way. I think those are things you can actually, you see, not just, it makes it a bit easier for you guys to communicate at the end of the day.
So interdependence is the goal.
For me, that's the goal. It's just being individuals, but being a unit, but you're still individuals in the unit. Yeah.
Exactly.
I think it's something that you said. I laughed, but I'm just like, so there actually are relationships that are born out of like convenience.
Yep. I'm a victim of that.
And I want you to explain, like, so what is the convenience in this case?
It's like a why not feeling. Like you get into the relationship because you're thinking why not instead of thinking why.
Mad.
It's like this could work. Like we like get along, like we're friends, we can spend time together.
Yeah.
This could work. So like why not? And then you get into the relationship rather than being like, why am I actually getting into the relationship? I feel like there should be a few deeper reasons rather than we can spend time together. I don't know. That's why I was saying I think the dating thing is a thing where you're just dating to date, not to
get into
immediately
something.
Find a partner and settle down in the next 2 weeks. Yeah,
because I'm trying to think, like, convenience can be a thing because it can start off as you're just like friends with benefits. So this is someone I just know if I need, they're there. And then just out of that, it morphs into it because, okay, now I'm going to start now thinking about where am I going to start talking to someone else.
And usually the lines get so blurry. It's not like you're dating, but it's like you're dating. Like if you're texting someone, I can be pissed, but I never really asked you to officially be in a relationship with me.
So I think, that convenience. And then you move into it without clearly defining what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, I haven't experienced it, but I'm trying to think, it can be a bit like, dicey, because now you're trying to wonder then, what is this thing if it was never defined from the start?
Do I have the right to get upset about this? Okay, but then it's making me feel that way. It just gets too murky.
Mad. So I guess, have you had like experiences? And again, I think we've all experienced like a toxic relationship.
Trigger warning, abuse.
Yes. Yeah. So across from emotional, physical, and just mental, I think I'd be able to speak on my own experiences of it. But I think one thing is to state that you're not to be blamed for the toxic relationships. You're not the person who did something wrong. You're just but a victim of whatever that other person was dealing with and struggling with. I think I just want to put it out there, because there are days I've spent trying to wonder or blaming myself, being like, hey, and then it was me, it was my fault. But you come to think of it, it's just, it was them who were at a certain point in their lives, or they've experienced certain things in their past they've never actually dealt with. So you're just but like a punching bag for most of these things that were happening. Yeah.
Is that like, were you asking me a question? Or
No, just like we're like, now you can go now. I was
okay.
Setting now the stage.
So what type of abuse would you say? You said mental, emotional.
Emotional. I've experienced
Same.
like the trifecta of those.
Oh.
And it's sad to say that all these were coming from one person, you get. So the bulk of these things, I think I've experienced them with one relationship. And that really did like a number on me, because you start to wonder, you were ready to dedicate like your entire life to this person. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So how they're able to, I think one, it was manipulative. So they'd start, okay, I'll take it how I experienced it. So emotionally it was, I think it's the small things they do to reward you, and then you feel, okay, fine, oh my God, they
love me.
Yeah, they really are. They really care about me. They support me. Anything I need to do or want to do, they're there supporting it. So not saying that that's a bad thing, but it's
like after they've done something.
Exactly.
It's not always like that.
No.
It's like bad behavior followed by overcompensation.
Yeah. So it would be that, and then it went all to like mental, and for me the mental would be, we're getting into arguments, and then you'd bring up these things that you did for me thinking you did them out of love, but kumbe you were just like collecting receipts,
brownie points. Yeah.
So when I actually fuck up, you'd be like, but you see, or when you fuck up, you'd be like, but you see, I've done da for you, so why are you even bringing this shit up? And then now physical, it became a thing I'd never thought would ever happen, you know, like in my life. You know, it's things that you never see or hear about. You never even hear like guys talking about that. People actually go through it. So getting to that point is when I was just like, it happened the first time, and I moved out, and then I think 2 weeks passed, I moved back in, and then I stayed like a month. And for me to move back in, they were just like, I'll stop doing XYZ, you know, I'll make sure I do I'll sacrifice everything just to make sure this thing actually works. A month or 2 months later, it happened again, and I think that's when I made the call to be like, I'm out. And because if I stay here, I'm just going to deteriorate, because emotionally I was like done, physically I was done, mentally
it's just
I was
like a
done.
lot.
So when you think about it, the longer I stayed, I would have maybe died.
What? Why did you say it like that? It's not funny, but
I mean, because it is. I mean, when I really
funny.
think about it, it's where you said it. Why do you say it like that? Because for me, that's actually how I felt. Like walking away from it is, if I stayed, I'd have just died. Whatever form I'd have done emotionally, physically, I'd have just been done. Mentally, I'd just been done.
Yeah.
And so, just some relationships, you really have to step back and start to wonder. Cool, we've built such a future ahead together. We've shared all these beautiful moments together. But it comes a time where you have to stop overlooking
yourself.
Yeah, and you start putting yourself first. Yeah.
For emotional abuse, I've definitely experienced that, where it's like abusive words or like bullying behavior, like someone raising their voice, or someone like they just use their words and how they like move to a way, like I don't even know how to explain it, but it wears you down. Like it wears your self-esteem. Down, like you're mentally, you start like questioning things. You're like, should I really be feeling this? But this is this normal? Like, you know. I think there's a form of possessiveness where it becomes emotional abuse. where someone is really trying to almost isolate you from everyone and trying to be like, they make you feel like everyone is a threat to the relationship.
Yeah.
Everyone, like your friends, who were your friends, who've been your friends.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. And also that thing of reward and punishment. Like you do this, you're like quote unquote rewarded. You do this, you're like punished. Like they know how to play on your like emotions to their advantage without any regard for how it actually makes you feel.
Yeah.
It's fucked up.
I think in terms even for the emotional, it's the... And mine was the fact that she was a single mother. And she'd always... anytime I'd do something, we get into an argument, she'll be like, but are you going to walk away? Are you going to be like the guy who left? She'd always had like dangle that thing over me. I never used to sit well with me because I felt like now I'm being trapped by virtue or another man's mistakes. If that makes any sense. And so I felt like, okay, fine, so I need to do double the work, like to be double the man because someone else like fucked up somewhere else. So for me, that's why I felt like it was kind of emotional because you're really using all of this, like, and there's no need for all of that. Like, just I'm my own person, and so yeah, that used to be like just to rub me like the wrong way, for the most part. Yeah, I think but I think it's again. A lot of people are in these relationships and you feel trapped, and I don't think you should blame. Again, don't blame yourself. It takes a lot of courage to walk away from these type of relationships because even for you to stick through it means maybe there was even a trauma bond that you guys like kind of fixated on or kind of brought you guys together. Be it like, struggles you both were going through and you had like chances to share, or you guys used to escape reality using the same things. So I think it also has a lot to do with you understanding what trauma bond you guys formed, because for you to still sit in a toxic relationship, there's something like underlying that the foundation was already just like kidogo, just shaky, you go inside. So I think you need to be able to be cognizant of that and just be able like to... It's that thing of just being able to talk to your friends. I guess you really don't want to keep things private, but...
That's a red flag. People who are trying to tell you never to talk about, like, why would you talk about your relationship? It's not you telling your friends every single detail about your relationship. But if someone's really trying to keep everything between you, like if anything happens, it's only for you two, like that's... You start to normalize things that should not be normalized just because it's you two going back and forth.
I think they already know that whatever they're doing is just whack.
So they don't want anyone else to know. Yeah.
I think, that's insane. I think even just being pushed, again, being pushed to meet like family members when you really are not ready to meet them, or just that type of shit, like you being, the relationship being rushed forward by them, and then if you choose not to meet certain members, it's just like, oh, then maybe this is not as serious, but why would you? I think also allow something to move at its own pace, a pace that you're comfortable with, as opposed to you're just doing it for the sake of the future you guys have talked about. I think for me that's, I'm trying to think about things also. I was like, I should have seen that one also.
Yeah.
I think
hindsight is always 20/20. You're just like, it was inevitable.
Yeah. I guess, and then
on a lighter note, I feel like that was like
that was
the heaviest part of this discussion.
Yeah.
Let's talk a bit about polyamory, because it is a form of relationship with partners.
Yes.
Multiple partners. Polyamory is the practice of or desire for intimate relationships with more than one partner, with the informed consent of all partners involved. That's the like most important part.
Yeah.
Polyamory is not cheating. That's
it's
like
not,
it's not that.
And I think it's so two things when I was reading up, it's consent and communication.
Yes. It's ethical non-monogamy. For something to be ethical, it's a lot of consent is
there's
involved.
a polyamory
Like, you know.
society, you know, like
Yeah.
the society around it. So it means I think it takes a lot of, it's not for people who have like a low self-esteem. It's not for people who don't know how to communicate.
It takes so much more communication
Yeah.
than most people can handle, to
Honesty.
be honest.
And a lot of honesty, a lot of like responsibility.
It's not just a lot of smashing, because people think, oh, it's just a lot of sex. That's gonna be fantastic. No. It's like your relationship times 2. All this, the good things times 2,
Times
but
2,
also
yeah,
the challenges or the
multiple
things
people, yeah.
you have to communicate through times
Yeah.
2. Everyone's coming with their own things. Like, it's just.
It's a whole thing.
Would you ever consider polyamory?
I want to say I'd consider it, but at the same time, I need to understand myself a bit better. I think before you get into it, there's a couple of things you need to have worked on with yourself or on yourself for you to get to a point where, okay, fine, you know what, I'm capable of being able to distribute myself.
This, yeah.
Yeah.
An
I mean-
interesting way to put it. Yeah.
Across to give people all their attention, all their love. Because you're seeing if one person is already a thing, so
There
now
comes
trying to,
jealousy, and they come with like
so you're up there trying to, like, you
time.
know, make sure everybody is okay.
happy. Yeah.
It takes a lot. I guess maybe the older you are, the more it becomes easier to actually do it.
Yeah, so there's actually this book. It's called The Ethical Slut. I don't remember who the author is, but I'll leave it linked in the show notes. And she was talking about it like that, like the older you are, like people will literally have kids who've grown up and they're older now, and then they now love each other, but they want to
Spread the love.
Spread the love. Yeah. I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna say it. So yeah, I think you need to really understand yourself.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say shadow self, but the other parts of yourself that
You
are
need
not
to
so
really work through, yeah.
not so friendly.
Would you consider it?
At a point I thought I could, but I think same thing with what you said, like I need to work on myself a lot more before I can even get into another relationship, let alone with multiple people.
Yeah.
And we would have to be such like friends before we became. I just think the dynamics, it's a lot.
Yeah, only thing I'd say, Nairobi.
Yeah.
You get, so it's but something interesting. So here, so what polyamory is not. So it's not swinging or spouse swapping, in which couples in established one-on-one relationships have casual sexual encounters with people in other couples, which I found like that's weird.
What's weird?
Just like couple swapping, you know, I'm just always like people who like, I'm always just like maybe, and it's a concept that I'm not being able like to wrap my head around. I am just maybe, and it's just how me I am. It's just like I'll give myself to one person, and just the way like, you know, sex works, the energy is exchanged.
You know,
I feel like now starting not to incorporate other people
on a casual basis.
You know what I'm saying?
It's like you're just throwing this whole thing around.
Nah. And then it's not an open relationship.
No.
Because an open relationship involves a committed couple agreeing that one or both partners are permitted to have sex with other people without necessarily sharing information on the other partners. And you see, for polyamory, it's you will share this information. All of you need to know who the other person is. I find it a
what
bit
the
tricky.
dynamics are.
Yeah.
Like, it's a lot of communication.
Because it's up, or you're also trying to look at, because jealousy is a thing, you get. I feel like at the most basic of ourselves, you get a bit jealous. Now the degree now varies with people depending on how much work you've worked on yourself. But I think for polyamory, you need to have worked on your jealousy aspect. If you're a jealous person, then you need also to take
You need to
time.
completely understand all of these other people's attachment styles, first of all, because there's a lot of things that can get lost in translation with how this person is moving with this other person. Like,
It's a lot.
it's just a lot. Period.
Yeah. So I think a common term used in polyamory is compersion, or the feeling of joy from seeing your partner happy with another person. This is the opposite of jealousy, and I think that's like the foundation of this whole thing.
That
is
could be a
just,
beautiful thing.
you know, being able to be happy for your partner, being made happy by someone else. that is like a goal, and like, goal of even just like in life. I think I remember it's an episode like of Modern Family, was it? When Phil was getting jealous when Claire, the guy, I think it was like a magician also or some shit, and he was making her laugh, or like a neighbor or something. And he was getting jealous because he's like, no man should make my woman laugh or happy or some shit like that. It's something you need to like grow and to understand. Like, just being happy for your partner, I think it's fundamental across polyamory, in a monogamous relationship. Yeah, just being able to be happy for your partner, being made happy by other things and other people.
Yeah, it's not just you.
Yeah, I think it should be something. And I think, can you be friends with your ex?
It depends on so many things. It depends on how things end, first of all.
So for me, that was it. Like for me,
it
it's
depends
yes,
on how things end.
But it depends on how the relationship ended.
And I also think it's like, you can be cordial, but I don't think you can be like, I'm going to hang out with my ex. Like, like you guys are going for lunch every Wednesday. Like, that's...
For who though? Is that for the sake of your partner, or just for your own self, being like, how can...
Maybe over time. Maybe like you broke up like 3 years ago, and then now you can like go for lunch and it's cool, you've both moved on. But still, I don't know. I think it depends on a lot. Because it can get really weird, really
It can get like really messy, yeah.
But obviously, if it ended on a bad note, just
yeah, for sure.
If there's been like instances of abuse, there's no need to go back, because then you're just gonna bring back up that wound, and
you really try to work through it.
Yeah.
I think it also depends on the foundation of that relationship. If you guys started off as friends, it should be, okay, let me not say should be, it might be easier to be friends even after you've broken up. But if you guys just met and you just started and you just got into the relationship, there's no foundation, then there's no way you guys are going to be able to be friends. Yeah. So how do you know you're ready for a relationship? How do you know you're ready for one?
For me, it's a question of why do I want to be in a relationship at that point. So it depends on how I answer that question.
Yeah.
I think it's also... a big part of it is that you've healed from your past relationship and you've learned from it, and you're able to look at it objectively and be like, okay, these are things that are my fault, maybe not fault, but like these are the things that I need to work on moving forward. So you've looked at your past relationship, you've learned from it, you've healed from whatever pain it is, so that you're not going for like a rebound, or like someone who now you'll just be codependent with, because you're coming now with all this pain that you need someone to help you work through. So yeah, when I feel like I've healed from a past relationship, also if I've really worked on myself.
Yeah.
Like it depends on how I answer that question. Why do I want to be in a relationship?
Is it because you feel like I've worked on these things, so I should be able to be in one?
It's like, okay, I'm ready to communicate with this person. This is like the goal of why I want to be in a relationship. This is what I'm looking for in a relationship. I'm able to be clear on those things. That's how I'd be able to tell I'm ready. Not just out of boredom or like. Yeah. For you, what is it?
I think it's also the small things of you stop using a burner like social media account just to check up on them. So you start going on Instagram to check on their lives, their tweets, when you just stop really trying to see where they're at in their lives. And for me, it was always a thing of, are you as sad as I am?
Why are you not?
Yeah, why you are still happy? When you stop moving, when you stop expecting them to be where you're at emotionally, and you allow yourself to be where you're at and be comfortable with it, and then you still work on it, I think that's a good sign for you to be like, okay, fine, maybe I might be ready for something. And when you stop looking for my other half, when you start to understand that you're whole,
and you have standards of things you're not willing to compromise on. I think that's major. Not you're just open, anyone
not
who's
just
willing
because
to.
Someone is giving me some attention here. Yeah, cool, I'll go for this one. No, I think it's that. And then you love yourself now. I feel like just being able to love yourself.
How's your relationship with yourself? That's a good question to ask yourself, to know whether you're.
I think if you're good with yourself, you might be okay to be in a relationship. I don't want to say you should be, just you might.
It's an easier transition rather than if you're having internal battles.
Yeah. I think also when you're able to take care of a pet, I think for me, being able to take care of a pet is an indication of you can give
That's
attention.
an interesting way to look at a
For
partner.
sure. Because it's something I used to read and it's something I did. So I got a cat. Like, I think when I broke up when in uni, I got a cat. And it's just reading on, like, online. I just like, from a breakup, all these like blogs you'll read and I just try and get through it. So one of them was just like, get a plant or a pet or just something that requires you to give attention to and take care of. The moment you're able to nurture a cat or a pet, it kind of shows that you're able to give, in as much as you're hurting right now, you're still able to give like attention and care to something else outside of yourself. It's a good sign that you're actually healing. And now you're able to transition from you wanting to be taken care of to you taking care of something else without expecting anything in return, because this cat is not going to help you with your heartbreak, but it's just there for you still. I think when you're able to take care of something else other than yourself, you might be actually able to move into something.
Okay. Do you think like there's a specific time frame that you should wait between relationships? Is there like, if you just broke up last week, then you can't? Okay, obviously last week, you shouldn't be getting into a relationship.
At it tomorrow.
But what's like? Do you think like you have like a minimum?
Yeah, I normally say like, for me, I used to do it was, I think, a year.
I would say the same thing. I would say a year and then you start dating, not a year and then you're in a relationship.
It's a year of you just working on you just taking care of yourself, accomplishing things that you might have put. Shut up. You accomplishing things that you might have like put on the side for the sake of the relationship. I think a year allows you to see so much of your own potential, and you grow so much in a year. I think
your voice, even your understanding of yourself.
Yeah, sure. I think a year is normally a safe amount of time.
Okay, so I think we've really had a long episode, and to wrap things up, we're going to talk about what we think are pillars of a healthy relationship.
I'm always for communication.
Let me tell you, if there's one thing that Shaga's going to do, he's going to make you communicate. The most... Anyway, I agree. Open and honest communication. Like, if you're never having any uncomfortable conversations with your partner, it's a lie.
Then it's nothing.
It's a lie.
Yeah, I think for me, communication is key.
Respect.
For sure. For sure.
In how someone speaks to you, it shows how...
Yeah.
Respect just shows. If someone doesn't respect you, it's like it just comes off on their energy.
Mad. And I think it's also the respect you as a person, and also respect your desires and your wants. Just whatever you want to take, they just accept it and respect it. They don't try to pick holes at it. That's key. I think another thing is like just trust. It doesn't mean that you trust in I can tell you something and I know you can keep it. It's just like trust that we can share good moments and bad moments. Like just trust that I know you'll still be there no matter what it is that we're actually going through. I think for me, trust is a thing.
I think reciprocity, like I'm here for you, you're here for me. It's not that no one should feel like they're giving too much.
Yeah.
That's not, because eventually you'll feel like you're done, like you can't give anymore. So should have that balance of I give, you give, we both get to receive, we both get to enjoy, like we're balancing each other's out. So you never feel like you're lacking.
I think I'd say like mutual support.
Yes, support.
So we're able to differentiate our needs, but still be able to be there for the unique needs that everybody has. I think just being able to support someone is key. It doesn't matter if you don't fuck with what they fuck with. It's just being able to support the person through that.
As an individual.
Yeah, it's just like that's what you're interested in. Cool, I'll do it. I think I'd also want to add like a personal identity. Being able to be your own self in the relationship, I think, is a pillar. If you really understand your own self and you bring that into it, of course, all these other things being there, just your own personal identity, I think it's a key thing, because you might get lost in this person, so you end up liking the things they like, doing the things they like, just because you feel like that's what a relationship should be. But nah, I think it's just your own personal identity.
Friendship, like having a foundation of friendship, I think makes it easier for relationships.
Yeah.
If you've actually been friends, like people who've been friends for a while and then they date, I think they have an easier time than. Again, I think that's where the dating comes into. Like just knowing this person.
Yeah.
You've seen them in different scenarios. You've
Yeah,
seen
for
how
sure.
they deal with different things. You have an understanding a bit about their family. I think those are people you can call your friends. So if you're dating
Yes.
someone like that, it's easier than if you're walking into a relationship to figure things out as you go.
move, yeah. And I think I've had like, you know, personal examples. I've seen like my dad, who's friends with my mom like from when they're in high school to when they got married. With my bro, they met like in high school. So I've seen the value and the like just the power it has between being friends and then just knowing each other for a very long time as this thing just morphed and morphed.
Yeah.
I've seen the power behind that. Mad. I think, unless you have anything else to add,
That's it.
pretty.
So it was a lot.
I won't lie to you, I feel not drained, but I feel like
Exposed.
I've given out like a lot for this one. I feel
Yeah,
like
we've really shared
really
like
shared,
personal
and
experiences.
yeah, it's yeah. So, I mean, thanks even just for sharing your own experiences and actually talking about them.
Same.
I know it's not easy, but it's a space.
Yeah. I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. We've really put a lot into it.
For sure. I mean,
Oh, there's nothing else you want to say?
oh,
I was gonna just outro.
okay, yeah. I mean, thank you. I mean, we've put like a lot of ourselves on this one, and we appreciate actually you listening in until this point. Thank you so much. I hope you actually get to have these conversations with your friends, with your families,
With
with
your
partner.
partners.
You know, yeah. Just thank you for being here for this one.
Same. And with that being said, thank you guys so much for listening. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening to us from, and we will catch you guys in the next one. Bye.
Bye.